Thanks again, Phumzile, and hello again, everyone. So I'm going to jump straight into the panel, and it is my honor to introduce our two speakers today. So I'll start with Zinhle Dube. She is a thought leader in the procurement and supply chain field, the founder and CEO of Samkelisiwe, a strategy, procurement, and supply chain operations consulting firm. Her illustrious career in corporate South Africa covers both technical and management consulting experience. She has delivered numerous transformational projects locally in Southern and Western Africa, as well as in the US, with a key focus on strategy, strategic sourcing, enterprise-wide cost optimization, EPCM project sourcing, business process optimization, ERP systems and implementation, governance and compliance, as well as enterprise and supplier development. Over the years, she has worked in diverse industries, including mining, oil and gas, financial services, diversified industrials, media, telecommunications, metals, manufacturing, and various public sector entities. Through her work, she advocates for supply chain as a strategic vehicle for improving business performance and driving sustainable socio-economic development in Africa. Zinhle sits on the advisory board for Smart Procurement World and is a periodic contributor for Supply Chain Today magazine. She has a BCom Economics from UKZN and an advanced certificate in purchasing and supply management from UNISA. In her leisure time, she enjoys reading motivational business books, writing, hiking, as well as watching soccer and tennis with her son. Our other panelist that I'd like to introduce before we jump in is Catherine Larkin, the founder of CVLC Communication. Passionate, professional, and persistent are the words which best describe Catherine, a communication specialist with over 2 decades of experience in the industry. Committed to wowing her clients and exceeding their expectations, Catherine has been running her own public relations and communication consultancy for over 19 years. Her focus has expanded dramatically from her original focus on logistics, transport, and supply chain to include health, pharmaceuticals, trade, entertainment, and much more. Whether it is dealing with crisis communication, organizing online or face-to-face events, developing and implementing social media campaigns, writing annual reports, speeches, or media releases, she thrives under pressure. Catherine has served as a judge in the Women in Transport Awards as well as the Africa Transport Awards. She holds a BA degree as well as several certifications in public relations, marketing, social media, and supply chain. Catherine is also the only person in the country to be both an accredited public relations professional and a chartered member of the Chartered Institute of Logistics and Transport. So I definitely find myself in very strong company here with these two ladies. If we think a little bit about entrepreneurship in the consulting industry, it might be worth taking a step back and thinking, what is entrepreneurship? And to quote Jeffrey Timmons, it is essentially the process of creating and or seizing a viable business opportunity. And irrespective of what you've got available at the moment, implementing that opportunity successfully. To make it simple, for those of you who've watched the 2005 movie Robots, there's a character in there called Mr. Bigweld, and his view is, if you see a need, fill a need. And this is what consultants do, right? So interestingly, at my very first round of interviews for my current employer, I was asked if I would one day like to run my own business. And I thought it was a trick question, but it ended up being very much not. So when I looked puzzled, my interviewer actually laughed and said, you know what, we are all very pro-entrepreneurship in this organization. So whether you want to learn as much as you can from consulting to run your own business within the supply chain field, you have the opportunity to do it in this organization. Conversely, if you see a need and you want to fill a need within this organization, you also have that opportunity to do so. We've spoken a lot about the impacts of COVID-19 on businesses and industries and the country and what this has done. And this has also severely impacted the market size of global consulting as well as consulting within Africa. We've seen from our own personal experience that project durations have become very much shorter as clients have got less disposable money to spend. And there's a big return back to the basics with clients asking, what is it that I need to do? It's also been very much taking a step back to say, in this world where digitalization and transparency is huge, how do I connect the dots with these various technical solutions? Are there smaller ones I can do? Or what is my roadmap of saying, how does this all fit in? Irrespectively, we need to know, how can we boost entrepreneurship within the consulting industry, in the consulting world, so people can grow their own businesses, people can become suppliers. And there were some really nice examples given in the previous panel session as well. But on that, how do we help people in consulting? Think big, start small, and act fast. And it's with that challenge that I would like to hand over to Zinhle Dube to please give us her view on the topic.
Thank you very much, Genevieve. Hello, everybody in the audience. Thanks to the organizers, CIPS. That's a very interesting topic that we're focusing now around entrepreneurship, especially in the consulting environment. What I'd like to do is just to highlight some facts around the consulting industry overall in South Africa. Although there hasn't been many research around consulting in procurement supply chain specifically, but I'll just talk broader in terms of painting a picture for you on the industry that we're participating with. So there's been a study that was done by Consultancy South Africa, and it says that the management consulting and business advisory market is currently worth over 70 billion rands. It has about 60,000 employees that participate in that space, and it's different types of consultants, from business advisors, from coaches to management consultants across obviously a number of fields. And it would be interesting to also explore amongst all these consultancy environments, how many women are leaders. The last report that I saw, which was only about 5 years old, said something about women constituting only 39% overall in consultancy. So if we look at the big four, for example, currently, we know that PwC specifically recently appointed a female, the very first female CEO. So just to paint the picture of some of the dynamics around female leaders in the consulting environment. We have the other large strategy operations consultancies like the McKinsey, the Bains, the BCGs, etc. And currently, we're not seeing much participation around women, specifically in the C-suite level in those organizations. However, also if you look at more the mid-tier type of consultancies, all the way to medium-sized and small consultancies, again, we are not seeing much participation of Black women and women in general. There was a very interesting study that was conducted. It's a women's entrepreneurship barometer study, which was done by one of the French champagne company. It's across, I think, 34 countries. South Africa was one of them, where they were looking at different functions around entrepreneurship and where women tend to participate in. And unfortunately, when it comes to consulting and business consulting overall, the study said that only about 22% of women said they would participate, or at least they would open businesses in the consulting and business consulting environment, which was very disappointing for me, because it's a very nice space to be playing in. What I'd like to also just highlight, for the purposes of our colleagues here who are in industry across different companies, or maybe in government organizations as well, that would like to become entrepreneurs at some point, specifically in the consulting environment, I'd like to just paint a picture about some of the realities around being a consultant, in whether you're working for a global consultancy or you are running your own consultancy firm, or you work for some of the consultancies that I've mentioned across large corporates as well as mid-tier, as well as the small consultancy. So consulting is very interesting because it allows for you to gain knowledge across the business value chain. Just by nature, it allows for you to be entrepreneurial. And I'll explain why I'm saying that. So most of the jobs, how they get structured and the role and responsibilities that a consultant will typically have, you are required, for example, to have business development skills. Doesn't matter your level. So if you're a consultant that's been allocated on a certain project, you need to answer, meaning that whilst you're doing that project at a specific client, you need to identify other new opportunities for your company, for your employer. Secondly, it also requires for you to have the skills to cross-sell. And we've had so many points from supply chain professionals who say, we are actually becoming salespeople as procurement professionals. Why is that? Because you also, whether you sit, when you are sitting in industry, you have to sell the value proposition or the procurement mandate, the supply chain mandate to internal customers within your business. And those are the end users, the people that actually you are buying or procuring goods and services on behalf of. So consulting also allows for you to build that skill, and harness that skill from a very early age, whether as an analyst, as a consultant, as a senior consultant, all the way up. Obviously, it gets harder when you become a senior manager because your targets are even higher. But you are able at that stage already to build some sort of entrepreneurial skills, as you do your work. Another very important point, which becomes very important for you as an entrepreneur, which is a skill that you acquire in consulting, is the role of project management. So from a junior position, you can play a role of coordination, project coordination in a project, and that involves anything from doing calculations of your expenses of the project, making sure that people are not going above the budget, making sure that you are managing the time that you are billing to the client, and overall controlling of the project processes, everything that you, including reporting to the client. And that also brings in an additional very key skill, which becomes important for you as you become an entrepreneur or a business person in consulting. If you're selling a product, which is a tangible product, that product, it's easy for your client to, look and feel, to touch it, to be able to see that it's the right quality. However, with the service, it's very tricky because you are selling a skill, meaning that you need to have a broad understanding, not just of the actual capability or the function. In this particular case, it's not just about you being excellent in procurement, but it's also about you being excellent in the industry of that particular client that you are serving at that time. So if you are looking at a telecoms client, if you are looking at a mining client, you need to have a view of that industry. So it requires a lot of research, which becomes very important and also useful for you as an entrepreneur in the consulting space, because you have to research on the businesses when you're trying to seek work, when you're pursuing potential clients. So that skill from consulting also helps you because you are able to then understand just beyond your function as a supply chain practitioner, but you also understand the actual markets, to understand what drives a specific market, what are the key challenges, how do you then take your specific solutions procurement supply chain solutions to address the challenges in a particular sector, because each sector, each industry is very unique in nature. So there is various skills in your pursuit of procurement in consulting that will then support and help you as an entrepreneur in consulting. So for me, I think for any colleagues that are interested in consulting, it's a very nice space to be in. It opens you up to the business value chain. So you don't necessarily only become the procurement supply chain specialist, but you understand strategy at a broader level. You know, you understand operations, because as many of you would attest here, you can't solve supply chain problems without fixing some operational challenges in the business. So it's a nice space to be in. There's few of us, but I think I'd like to do exactly what Lebu was saying with the transport and logistics teams, to say, guys, we need more of you. We need more of us to come this side. Yes, it's not easy in the beginning, but it's a very exciting space to be. It builds your confidence, you know, because the more information you learn, the more you are able to even educate your clients, educate your customers that you are dealing with on their own industry. You know, obviously, the one key thing that you always hear, which, you know, for me remains just what some of the perceptions, is the fact that all clients think, consultants think they know everything. It's not that, you know, and you as a consultant will never know more than your customer, especially about their own environment. So it allows for you, or gives you an opportunity to always be open to learning, to be always be open to being teachable. And also because you're dealing with diverse types of people, various stakeholders, your client becomes your boss, your project manager is your boss, your partner who's in charge of that project is your boss, the teams that you are working with within your client environment, no matter how big the project is, those people are your boss. So you need to have very good relationship management skills. You know, you need to be able to know how you pitch the message across different levels that you are dealing with of people or stakeholders that you, whilst you are handling a project. So having said all of this, and I would, my message, key message, at least as part of my opening, is that consulting really brings a new end-to-end view of the business, which then allows you to break down the project or the problem into smaller challenges, which helps you to then build the right solution that fits that particular problem that you have. So it's a great space to be, and I would definitely encourage most of you who are interested in consulting specifically to join consulting. You will learn so much, and the beautiful thing about it is you never stop learning. You never stop learning. Every day is a new day, because a different client in a different industry, you learn something new completely, regardless of how much you already know about the subject matter. Let me close there for now. I hope I didn't steal enough of lots of time for my co-panel.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Zinhle. That was very insightful. And to just build on your leadership stats for the Big Four, I have to obviously add that Deloitte Africa is very proud of the fact that we have more than 50% female representation in our senior leadership positions, but we are working on the very top positions, such as board. We are also one of the few organizations in South Africa that has a dedicated role specific for the advancement of women in the organization. But on that exciting note, I'd like to hand over to Catherine Larkin, who is rearing and ready to go. Thank you, Catherine.
Perfect. Genevieve, I just want to check, can you hear me and see my presentation?
All good, thank you.
Perfect. Well, thank you, Genevieve and CIPS, for inviting me to be part of this session today. You know, we hear the word entrepreneurship mentioned every day in the media, but this event today really allows us the opportunity to delve a little bit deeper and perhaps come up with some concrete ideas in terms of how entrepreneurship through consulting can rebuild the economy. So what I thought I would start with is the definition of what a consultant actually is. So a consultant is a person who provides expert advice professionally. And I think the beauty of this definition is it's so simple, but so powerful. It's a person who provides expert advice. In other words, you don't need hundreds of people and loads of resources to become a consultant. All you need is yourself and your knowledge and expertise that you can share with clients. So on this next slide, you can see some of the traditional areas of consulting. You know, you'll find consultants in logistics, transport, supply chain, human resources, management, marketing, public relations. The list is endless. And those are your traditional areas of consulting. But what are some of the non-traditional areas that perhaps you as an entrepreneur can come up with? Because anyone can become a consultant if they have the relevant skills and the knowledge and expertise that they can share with others. Often we think we don't know a lot, but we all know something that other people don't know that we could share with people and perhaps monetize into a business. The beauty about consultancy is really all you need is yourself, your skills, a telephone with some airtime and data, and a laptop or computer. That's all you need. Consulting has very low barriers to entry. You don't need to invest in a whole lot of products or systems to actually get up and running. And that's another advantage of entrepreneurs and consulting. You can start as a consultant on a part-time basis. You can do it on weekends once you know what area of consulting you want to go into. So I challenge you all today to think about what are your unique skills or knowledge that you could share with other people, that you could perhaps start a business with. Now, the next bit of information I want to share with you is some research that was done in 2015 by a UK-based research consultancy looking at why women make such good consultants. And there are 8 key points. Number 1, the research revealed that teams that have a greater proportion of women actually deliver better quality solutions. 2, women also have a great ability to think more laterally and to think more longer term, more strategically about things. Number 3, we also seem to be very good at developing relationships with people and sustaining those relationships. And that is actually a key skill when you are a consultant. You need to build good relationships with clients, your teammates, your stakeholders, a multitude of different people and groupings. Number 4, the survey also showed that women were perceived as more thoughtful. They're prepared to take more time, reflect on things, analyze things, far more than their male counterparts. Also, women were perceived, and this isn't necessarily true, but it's a perception, and perceptions are realities in business. 80% of the clients surveyed that think that if a woman leads a project, it will be better managed, and that the budget will also be better managed. The clients also felt, the majority of them felt that women were better at stakeholder management. better than their male counterparts. And that comes back to the relationship building and the communication skills generally that women have. Finally, women are also perceived to be far better communicators. They can often be more direct. They are good at explaining what needs to be done and why it needs to be done. So they're very to the point. And they're also prepared to spend quality time with their teams, with their clients. So they're prepared to invest more in projects. So women overall are very good at building relationships and nurturing them. So having said that, how can women entrepreneurs in consulting help to rebuild the economy? I just want to share 3 ideas. Firstly, we can do this by creating women-focused networking opportunities, exactly such as the platform that CIPS has offered us today. And I'd like to commend CIPS for doing this and really encourage them to do it on an ongoing basis, because relationship building, consulting, communication is an ongoing, long-term initiative that you need to keep doing on a regular basis. And note, I always say it's called networking. It's not called net chat, net chill, net relax. It's networking. We need to build our network. We need to maintain our networks, and we need to be in regular contact with our network to make sure that we are all on the same page, that we know what our network is up to, that we can share ideas, etc. with them. 2, the second thing that we as women can do is create more women-tailored businesses. You know, we as women have unique challenges that face us, whether it's in the workplace, whether it's at home, and the entrepreneurs out there can really spend time looking at the challenges that women face and come up with innovating solutions that can ultimately land up as new business ventures, new companies, new opportunities. By problem solving and just being mindful of our environment, we can come up with new opportunities and new businesses. Look at how many people have actually started hugely successful businesses by having a personal challenge that no one else invested the time to come up with solutions with, or perhaps didn't have the interest to come up with solutions. So I challenge you all, when you encounter challenges, think, what can I do to solve that? You never know, you could be the next Elon Musk, because it all starts with an idea. So my closing slide is, yes, by Joy Abraham. And it's really about being mindful and aware and open to opportunities. Very often there are opportunities facing us, staring at us in the face, and we just don't see them. So thank you, Genevieve. Those are my thoughts on today's panel discussion.
Lovely. Thank you very, very much, Catherine. I'm going to jump back to Zinhle quickly, just for her response to a question that's been posed in the chat to the hosts and panelists. And the question, Zinhle, is how can consulting be made available to small businesses? And do consulting companies invest in the SME sector? If you wouldn't mind just giving us, in the interest of time, a very brief response to that. Thank you.
Okay, great. So how can consultants, just confirm that? How can
consulting be made available to small businesses?
Oh, I see. Okay. It's already available to small businesses. So yes, guys, it is available already to small businesses. We consult across small and large businesses, even though specifically with Samkelisiwe, we started with large corporates when we started the business 4 years ago, but we consult across big and small businesses. And I think there's also a number of other business advisory businesses that consult. A lot of them do sit in the ecosystem, the ESD ecosystem, where most of the fund managers those large companies that look after ESD programs, they would have a number of business mentors, they would have a number of business consultants that will support the ESD beneficiaries. So there is a number of us that actually do have tailored solutions for smaller businesses as well. There was a second part of the question. What was the second part? Let me just confirm, Genevieve.
No, I think you've captured it.
Okay.
I think that was good. Thank you. Thank you so much. And then a question for Catherine as our last Q&A for today's session. Catherine, this is a question posed by Zinhle Shongwe, where she asked, it is a business with limited, close to no barriers, but there's been an outcry that consultants are quite good at providing state-of-the-art presentations with no practical implementation methods or tools. How do we address this view and change this perspective?
That's a very good question, Sibongile. I think, we have become known as a country that also comes up with, is very good at talking, but not really implementing. I think one of the ways around that is really to collaborate with other consultants to see how you can come up with practical solutions. And I think even in your consulting work that you do, there should be measurables and actions, not just a well-written document, but a proposal with solid milestones, deadlines, and specifics. Each plan, whether it's a business plan, a marketing plan, should be smart. It should be specific, measurable, with realistic timelines, etc. So I think it comes down to the basics once again.
Thank you very much, Catherine. Yeah, to build on that, I mean, before I joined consulting as ex-client at a mining company, we always used to joke, it's like, if we want to know what the time is, we'll give a consultant our watch and then ask them so that they can tell us. It's a little bit tongue in cheek, but yeah, I would build on what your view is as well. It's hold your consultants accountable and own the solution with them, because when they step out of that door and leave you, you've got to be comfortable to run with it. So make sure that you also take ownership and hold your consultants accountable for sharing that ownership with you and use it as an opportunity for growth. But on that note, thank you very much, everyone, for your participation in our third panel for today. And it gives me great joy to hand back to Zinhle.
Thank you, ladies. Thank you so much. But before you go, I have my own question. Not to put anybody on the spot, but it will be going to all three of you, because all three of you are in the space. It's mentioned. I mean, Catherine, your slide was making it so simplified to say, you can consult. Consultation is sharing your skill, your expertise, your knowledge. You just need a laptop, you need or a phone, and you can really do that and start to monetize it. And that makes so much sense, because often when we talk consultation or consulting, people really just think the big fours and they're like, oh, I can't, I'm not in that space, but actually you can. But the reality we also have to acknowledge is that there are knowledgeable females out there who are saying, I have got 15 years knowledge, I can actually start selling. I can actually start selling my knowledge. I have a laptop, I have a cell phone, but it is not that easy. So what are some of the practical interventions that you think? I mean, one of you mentioned that you need to collaborate, but what does that mean? Where do I go to? Who do I speak to when I want to collaborate? So maybe one of you can give me one intervention to say, okay, you can start here, for example. Start by doing this. Let's start with you, maybe, Genevieve.
Sure, thank you. So there's a list of things I could share with you, but the things that immediately jump to mind is network. And Catherine alluded to it earlier. Know the market network, build alliances that you know who to collaborate with and on what. So definitely build those relationships, because without people, none of us would have any work to do. or anyone to consult to. So network as much as you can in terms of thought leadership to share, such as things like today and tomorrow, but also to build your client base and to build those really strong relationships that you can take forward.
Thank you. Zinhle?
For me, I just want to build on what Catherine said when she was defining consultant. So it's a person, with a skill. So to address the question that just got asked by you, Phumzile, is you can start by becoming an independent consultant to just get yourself in the network of the consultancy environment. You don't even have to start a company yet in the beginning. So, and you can work with those specific consultancies that are available as an independent consultant. So, and once you've built your confidence and you understand how it works, in terms of client relationships, in terms of setting up specific processes in consulting, then you can set up your company. So there's so many ways that you can do it. So we don't unfortunately have formal ecosystems where there are consultancy firms that are part of a specific institute or formal network or ecosystem where we can pull in those independent consultants, including consulting companies, to be able to allow for formal collaboration instead of just going on the internet and searching for consultants or consultants in a specific field. So perhaps conversations that we need to have around building those ecosystems where we will have formal consultancy firms from small to medium to larger mid-tier type of businesses. But as an individual, you can start. You can just become an independent consultant. That will give you so much knowledge around how it all works, and then you can set up on your own after that.
Thank you, Zinhle. Catherine, you'll be the last one before I close.
Yes, thank you, Phumzile. So I wanted to suggest that people join professional bodies such as CIPS and leverage that network to build their consulting business. What's very important now is, National Treasury is busy with an initiative to professionalize the procurement and supply chain. And they'll be introducing legislation where if you want to practice or do business in the public sector, you will need to carry a designation after your name, such as MCIPS, member of CIPS, FCIPS, fellow of CIPS. And this, to me, is one way to differentiate yourself from the competition, because let's face it, everyone would love to be a consultant. So you need to differentiate yourself and position yourself. So I would say, get designated, get serious about learning and continually learning, because the landscape is changing all the time. So I would say, leverage that existing network and put yourself out there, but differentiate yourself. Build your brand as a professional, because as you said, Phumzile, and I said earlier, it's easy to become a consultant, but what makes you stand out and what makes you better than the thousands of other consultants? So I say, get designated.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ladies. Genevieve, I don't know if you've got anything else you want to add before I close.
Thank you very much. Just also building on something Zinhle said earlier. Is as an independent contractor, there are a lot of the large companies that do work with independent contract consultants. So, this comes specifically when you have very, very specialized skills, that even us, for instance, might reach out to someone with very specific skills. So if you do have those kind of specific skills that you're very confident about, but might want the backing of a bigger firm, there are often opportunities for people to be able to do that and contract to a larger firm as well.
Yes. And also, people must not also be afraid to say, raise your hand and say, can I assist you on this particular project? I don't even need to get paid. I know a lot of people frown on volunteerism and doing work for no pay. I am a big advocate in, I want to share my skill with you, and you don't even need to give me anything, because there is learning in areas that you won't even realize. So don't be afraid to contact the Big Fours or even the small consulting firms, our consulting firms, my Zinhle's consulting firms, to say, can I just volunteer on this particular project with you, and we can do that, and in that you are becoming exposed to how the consulting work works. You are becoming exposed to the different networks, and you start just learning, because as Catherine has said, learning. Be open to learning in whatever instance there is. At the end of the day, and one of the objectives of the summit, when I was really thinking around the themes, is that at the end of the day, we want to stimulate entrepreneurship, because that's how we can rebuild this economy. And supply chain management, we have proven so far in the different panels that it is in every single point in the value chain of the economy. So there are many opportunities that are there that anyone who's sitting in any space can say, okay, can I do this? And in closing, and in fact, we're actually just talking about this issue with my mom last night, and it's a simplistic issue. And it touches more on the transportation space. Like, you know, after the looting, most of the malls in the townships have been destroyed, etc. So a lot of people are flocking into one particular mall so it is very full there. There's a lot of transportation needs in the townships. There's a lot of old people that are going to shop, and they really want someone who can pick them from the gate, drop them at the mall, for them to do their groceries, take them from the mall and back at their gates. And the normal transportation system is not able to meet this need. So there is an opening, for example, because my mom was saying, I can't go walk to the bus stop and catch a taxi, go to the mall, buy groceries with 10 bags, walk again. I need someone who can pick me up. And so I'm saying, even the local transportation system, they've got the systems. They've been doing this for a long time. They've got systems, they've got the know-how, they've got the power. They can introduce the simple system that is able to assist the go-go's from homes, pick them up, drop them off, pick them up, drop them off, even if they're going to a clinic for a checkup. So it's that simple. Look in the environment and you are able to solve a problem. And that's what really consultation is really there, to solve a problem in the corporate space, in the spaces that we're in. So on that note, I think I'd like to close and thank the panelists that have been in the space from the morning. Thank you, Genevieve, for giving us your time in moderating the different panels. And thank you to Dr. Gwen for also, we hijacked her. She was able to say, I'll be able to come and contribute, because we want to do whatever we can to contribute in rebuilding our economy. Thank you to Dr. Faith for opening for us this first day. It was a very insightful panel. We have different speakers and different spaces: corporate, entrepreneurship, professional services, professional houses, academia. So I think the wealth of knowledge today has been invaluable. Join us tomorrow for our second day of our summit. It's going to be another packed summit where we are really talking about how do we integrate supply chain into our day-to-day spaces, whether you're in corporate, whether you're in entrepreneurship, whether you're in academia, wherever you are, we can play a role in building our economy in this country.